All right, folks. If you made it this far, congratulations. This is what the finish line looks like. This is the end of summer vacation. School, for most part, starts in a week or two, which for us here at the New Mexican Sports Department. And by the way, welcome to our weekly sports podcast. I am sports
Yeah.
editor Bill Weber, joined as always by the esteemed and oft-decorated James Barron. High school football practice starts a week from now, which
Yeah.
we're
Next
recording.
Monday, we'll
Yeah,
start.
Monday, August 3rd, first day of high school football practice. And then the following week, the 10th, is where all the other fall sports get going. So it's a really early start. School's almost back in session for most people. We're efforting Paul Weir, the new president at St. Mike's. Hope he'll be a guest with us next week. But for now, this is the very end. Look, James, you and I can take a deep breath. We look forward to summer vacation every year, and then we get here, we have nothing to do. And so now it's like we can't wait for high school football to start. So it's finally here. So
Yes, absolutely. But still, doesn't feel like the summer was that easy, man. Just running around trying to keep the engine going, right?
yeah, I'm gonna play teacher here. I'm gonna call you to the front of the class. I'm gonna ask you to tell us what your summer vacation was like. What did you do over the summer break?
Basically, this, this, this and writing.
Yeah.
I think I made one trip to Denver, to Colorado Springs to visit Chris's brother, who was just recovering from open heart surgery and everything. So we did that, and actually this weekend we'll be taking some time off and heading up to Denver
Nice.
to enjoy the last part of my vacation, and obviously Chris's birthday is on the 4th. So we decided to make a nice little 3-day getaway for it.
Yeah, do something nice for her birthday, dude. Just maybe take her to go see Odyssey or something, or
I'm taking her to Denver.
Yeah, look, when you drive into Denver from the south, there's a giant IKEA. So if you have a rental car, or save some trunk space, you can get
Dude,
some.
I'll lose her, man.
Yeah.
I'm only going to be there. I'm only going to be there for the food, and she's going to be there just in love with everything else.
Exactly. You cut her loose. You go sit. You get those like $1.50 hot dogs and just relax in the cafeteria. Let her go do her
I'll
thing.
be chowing down on those.
You don't tell IKEA what you want. IKEA tells you what you want.
You what you want. Yeah.
So there's that. Look, last week I did my portion of the podcast from the Mall of America in Minneapolis, which was like I was telling you over the weekend when I got back. When I was younger, and say in my early 20s and late teens, I could do a trip like that standing on my head. You get up at 2 a.m, go to the airport for 5 o'clock flight. Now at this age, it takes about 4 days to recover. I feel like I just got kicked by a donkey. But no, I spent 4 days in downtown Minneapolis on a trip that I had no official role in. It was a business trip for my wife, so I just kind of messed around, checked out the town. And I'll tell you this: there's that saying of Minnesota nice. It is very true. In driving in downtown Minneapolis and all the way, I went across the river to check out the University of Minnesota. Not at any point did I run into any kind of traffic incident where somebody's cutting me off, flipping me off, somebody's road raging. When I flew back to Albuquerque and I got within the drive from the airport to home, which is 25, 30 minutes, I had 2 incidents where one guy's they're road raging next to me, and then somebody tailgated me all the way through a construction zone and being not very nice to me. So like, God, I'm telling you, New Mexico drivers are horrible. They're aggressive. They drive fast. They don't obey the rules. Where in Minnesota, they're actually nice. I went to a Twins game. They played the Twins on a Friday night. We're just squeezed into this multi-level parking garage right across from Target Center next to the baseball stadium. And we're coming out, and this guy let me in. And not only did he wave at me, a courtesy wave, but the other person in the front seat waved at me. Like, they're super nice. Here in New Mexico, no one's going to let you in. If they do, they're throwing a beer can at you. They're doing something. It's horrible. So anyway.
Yeah, but Will, just because they're acting nice doesn't mean they're thinking nice thoughts about you. At least here we're honest.
That's true. But downtown Minneapolis, very pedestrian friendly, easy to get around. They have all these sky bridges, keeps you out of traffic. In anywhere in New Mexico, that's why we close off roads in downtown Santa Fe. They're afraid of getting run over. Over there, they actually watch out for you. So
no, they'll actually help you along.
Yeah. So speaking of Santa Fe, we're going to talk a little bit later in the podcast about the Santa Fe Fuego, whose season just ended. We'll get into the crux of
Oh,
that
do
a
we
little
really
bit.
want to do that, Will?
Yeah,
You're opening a can of worms right there.
yeah, absolutely. And this is a story I'm working on for later in the week. We'll touch more on it, but we'll talk about we'll write the obituary for the 2026 Fuego season, which is a long one and a short one at the same time.
Yeah.
But football does start for us on Monday, so we're looking forward to the start of football. I know it's not really 2-a-days anymore; it's just different. But so the college stuff is starting to ratchet up too. And I don't know if you noticed, but over the weekend, starting Monday, I believe yesterday,
Yeah.
the Lone Star Conference had their media day stuff, and Art Briles is now the head coach at Eastern New Mexico. And if
Did
you
he
follow,
speak?
yeah, if you follow Eastern New Mexico on social media, as I do, it was some pretty cringy stuff when he did some interviews. It was interesting. But Eastern New Mexico was picked 7th out of 10 in the Lone Star. Western New Mexico was picked 9th. And I swear the only reason Eastern New Mexico was picked 7th is because it was voted on by a panel of 30 media members, and one of them voted Eastern New Mexico first in their poll.
Of
And
course. Oh God. Wow.
I'm telling you, I would love to interview that person, whomever he or she might be. Why did you pick Art Briles in Eastern New Mexico to win a conference that's loaded with Texas schools, and then Central Washington is in there? And so it's, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You know,
I wonder how much he was bribed.
yeah, or yeah. And then Highlands, the New Mexico Highlands football team was picked 6th in the RMAC media stuff, which was last week. But unlike the Lone Star, they have the voting is done by the coaches, so it's much more realistic. And Highlands was picked a very distant 6th, which kind of surprised me. I thought there'd be some headway. I thought they'd get a little bit more respect than that. But look, Highlands is a school that's dealt with a lot of adversity, to say the least. So there's not a lot of expectations for the Division II schools throughout the state of New Mexico.
But interestingly, what really didn't involve the football teams, though.
No, well, sort of. I mean, the athletic director. Look, they go through so many athletic directors; it's hard to keep track. But a couple of athletic directors, there was some rumors of some activity amongst the football coaching staff. So there's some stuff flying around out there. But look, Highlands needs to pick me up. Man, they got their first game of the season is at home against Eastern New Mexico. So that's going to be a game we need to drive up there and check it out, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
No, you don't.
But I will be looking forward to seeing the new $85 million renovations taking place at New Mexico Highlands to rebuild their entire athletic complex. See how that goes.
In other words, you're going to see the new Coke machine they got with that money.
Yeah, they got rags to clean out the Coke machine is what happened. Maybe they got somebody to clean out the hornet's nest that was pestering people at all the games last year. Yeah, I went to
literal hornet's nest, not the proverbial one that they're dealing with right now.
No, man, I went to one game last year where it was hot as all get out, and there was like a cloud of hornets just buzzing around one end of the football stadium. It was horrible. So hopefully they use some of that $85 million to get an exterminator to come out and spray around.
Well, good luck with that. Hopefully so.
Yeah. So other than that, just I think the big news coming up next week, since it is really in a couple weeks, we still have a little bit of time to prepare for this, but August 12th, there's a solar eclipse, which kind of drifts over. Oddly enough, it ends up in Spain, why does Spain get all the cool stuff?
I know. They get the World Cup, they get the solar eclipse.
Yeah, but August 12th.
They got the wildfires too, so that's even better.
That's true. But August 12th, supposedly, if you read deep enough on Reddit, there's supposed to be a 7-second gap where all gravity on Earth just disappears. So you're supposed to float up off the planet. NASA scientists claim it's fake, but the fake media, you just never know who's telling the truth anymore. But just prepare for that August 12th. Make sure you're not at a football practice somewhere for a football tour, because who knows how high you'll go in 7 seconds. It could be pretty bad.
That football will never come down.
Yeah. So look, we're going to take a quick break. Before we do, and I always forget to do this every single week, subscribe to our newsletter. Go to the Mexican website, go into the newsletter section. You can follow along with us. Click into that. Since the high school season is coming up, we will update that as frequently as we can, probably much more often, because we're going to start doing the football tour here pretty soon. But subscribe to our newsletter. And then next week, you can tune into our podcast where hopefully we'll have Dr. Paul Weir join us.
Dr. Weir.
Yeah. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back. We're going to take a really deep dive into the Santa Fe Fuego. Because yeah, there's some things going on there where I think the tidal waves of change need to happen for this team. But
should we preface this by professing a profound love for Ivan and Senius?
Yeah. We'll talk about that. This is no fault of the organization, that the people who actually run the team, and really even the league itself. It's just it's a bigger issue than all that stuff. But we'll touch on the Fuego coming back right after the break. We'll be back in a sec. All right, we're back, and I needed that break just to catch my breath, because we're going to take a deep dive into the pool of the Santa Fe Fuego, who just
you had to take a deep breath first before you really got to dive deep into this, huh?
Yeah, they had to go grab my paper bag and hyperventilate for a little bit, because they just finished up their latest season, the 2026 season. Didn't go well. They went 16-34. It's the third year in a row they've failed to win 20 games. They've been under 500 every year since before COVID, since 2019. They were 4 games under in 2019, had the COVID year. They've been under 500 ever since. They haven't made the playoffs since 2015, when they lost in the league championship series to Roswell. And then they've only had one really good season in the history of the team. That was 2014. They went 48-24, won the league championship, which feels like a million years ago.
It does.
But this team on the field has been kind of an abject disaster the last 3 seasons, and it's been a failure for a while. And I will say this. It is absolutely no fault of the people who run the team. I know it sounds weird. It sounds counterintuitive. Like Yvonne and Senius, her group, which includes most of her immediate and extended family, they do a phenomenal job running that team, promoting the team. They do. They sacrifice time from their own activities to run that team and keep that team. There's in a lot of ways you could make the point that the Fuego don't exist without Yvonne and Senius and her people.
Absolutely.
They've done nothing wrong. So this is not their fault. It's not even the fault of the Pecos League. We could sit here and look, the low hanging fruit in all this is Andrew Dunn and the Pecos League. We've taken a million shots at this guy over the years.
Yeah, we kind of have, but some of it's worth it, some of it deserving, some of it not so much. And this isn't one of them.
Yeah, it's not his fault either. And I've had talks with Andrew, and he was at opening night this year. And he was optimistic about this team. He thought, you know what, we have some talent here, which they did at the start. They had They had a player who only spent a couple days here, and then he got promoted to the Canadian League. They had a shortstop they really liked, and then they kicked him off the team because he had an attitude problem. And they had their best pitcher, probably the best pitcher in the entire Pecos League, who's from New Mexico. Only lasted 2 games, and he got promoted out of the league. He finished the season in the Frontier League. But you look at their stats. Just before we started this podcast, the Fuego had 21 pitchers at different points during the season. 21 guys took the mound for that team. 20 of them had an ERA of at least 10. The only one who didn't was Tyler Campbell, and that's the guy who went to the Frontier League. He had 2 appearances, a 1.29 ERA, and two starts. Just phenomenal job. So he was the guy, and you could run him out there every 4 or 5 games. You're probably guaranteed of a win, or at least being competitive. But when you have a team that cannot keep the other opponent down below 15 runs a game, you're asking for trouble.
You are.
And let's explore why the pitching is so bad. James, what's your opinion on why the pitching is so bad in Santa Fe?
Well, I mean, you just can't find quality pitching. I mean, you need guys that have command. You need to be able to pitch inside. and you got to have some velocity to it, man. You can't be a guy just throwing, low to mid 80s and expecting to get guys out unless you got a lot of movement on the ball. But being that you're 7,000 feet up in the air, that's not really going to happen. So, I mean, it really comes down to pitching, and good pitchers don't want to come here. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. I mean, you look at how they ended the season. I mean, they gave up what, 100 and what was it that I said? I think that I wrote, it was like 128 runs over the last 9 games, after the All-Star break. That was pretty much what they did. And I think that really underscores everything that was wrong with them. And, and I think to that fact, the pitching just got progressively worse. I mean, at one point, they're actually halfway decent. What were they, like 10-15 at one point? Or 10-14 at one point, and they were in the conversation, and then they proceed to go 6-23, the rest of the way. And I think that just kind of shows you where the organization is right now. So they just don't have enough pitching. I mean, they've got plenty of hitting. Shoot, you look at what Connor Hickey did just by himself. I mean, that guy was a beast. And the Fuego are scoring runs, but when you're having to tie teams 26-26. Just to make it interesting. Yeah. That says everything right there. When you're giving up 30 to 40 runs in a game, I think that says it all right there.
Yeah, Connor Hickey, the starting left fielder for the team, was the Triple Crown winner in the Pecos League. He hit 29 home runs, drove in 90. He hit 505, and he wasn't even facing Santa Fe's pitching. If he was facing Santa Fe's pitching, he'd have hit,
Lord knows what he would
have hit 700.
Maybe 800. He might not have ever gotten out.
Yeah, it would have been just scary good. And here's the thing is, when I talked to Andrew Dunn right at the start of the season, he said the problem with Santa Fe is that you're right. No one wants to come here. The altitude is a problem, 7,000 feet. That's fine. There's nothing you can do about the altitude. There's nothing you can do about the dry air in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
But the problem with Santa Fe, with the baseball team, with having a team here, is the city has done nothing to help.
Yep.
To help with Fort Marcy Ballpark. Now, they did put in a new scoreboard, which is off a lot. Doesn't really work half the time. They put in a windscreen along the outfield fence this year, which was done by the Pecos League. The Pecos League installed all that stuff. But other than that, the field looks worse now than it did in 2012 when the season first started. I actually have a clip of the very first pitch in team history against Trinidad in 2012, and the grass is green. The circle around the mound isn't big enough to land a UFO on. Like now every single year, the infield dirt
progressively worse.
Yeah, it encroaches further into the grass. They don't water the grass. The grass is dead. It's clumpy. It's just the field is in horrible shape. The city does nothing to help it out, and there's a couple of reasons for that. It's a city park. So it falls into the city parks and rec department. And why would they devote all the resources to fix one field when they've got parks all over town? I get it. But the thing is, if you're going to have a professional team, which is a source of entertainment, it's a source of community pride, then try to do something to make it a better product. Because every single night you go to a Fuego game, that crowd is gone by the 7th or 8th inning.
They're not sticking around.
Yeah.
And for good reason, because the games usually don't end until about 10 o'clock, sometimes 10:30. I mean, they've gotten to the point now where they have to have a curfew, and it doesn't matter what the score is. You're done. Once you hit that time frame.
Yeah, and so the field is in horrible shape. The mound is made out of dirt. It's not made out of clay. It's made out of dirt. And so if you're a pitcher and you're wearing metal spikes, every single time you lean forward, every time you stride forward, you're stepping into dirt. And with those metal spikes, you're digging a hole in dirt. You're not digging a hole in clay. You can't reshape the mound. It is kitty litter. And so by the end of the night, that mound is horrible. You walk up to home plate. If you're ever a fan, you can walk on the field after the game. There's no restrictions to walking on the field. Walk up to home plate, and you drop down a good 3 inches. You're 3 inches into the dirt where your shoe tops are below grade because guys dig in so much.
Yeah.
Try hitting a baseball as a professional player in that condition. So until they actually do something to manage the field, to make it better. It'll never. There's that, and then there's the dimensions of the field.
Mhm.
Really, the only way you could make that a pitcher-friendly ballpark, a ballpark that's suitable for professional level baseball, is you would have to push every single outfield fence back at least 50 feet, at least. And
Yeah.
the footprint for that stadium or that field, you can't do it unless
Nope.
unless you did a drastic thing, which is you tear down that historic landmark they've got, which is a safety hazard in and of itself. Because anyone who's navigated the concrete steps at Fort Marcy knows
Yeah.
it's a risk management violation times 7. It's horrible.
And they put those steps in to accommodate people, remember?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, they tried to fix it, but they still didn't really fix it.
Yeah, it's if the city of Santa Fe were ambitious enough, because look, you host Zozobra there every single year, which
Yeah.
draws tens of thousands of people. You look at Albuquerque, what Albuquerque did with the Balloon Fiesta. Remember, the Balloon Fiesta Park used to be held outside of Coronado Mall. They realized if we're going to do
It's
this,
too small. Yeah.
yeah, we're going to move it to an area that can accommodate those kind of crowds. And then throughout the years, it went from a dirt field. They put in grass. They paved the parking lots. They brought in the infrastructure for it. Even though they don't necessarily use that facility year round, it is built to accommodate the one event that brings people together. So Zozobra brings a crowd into downtown Santa Fe that is unrivaled by anything else in northern New Mexico. So instead of just leaving it there so you can burn your giant puppet, why not just put a little bit of money into that area, turn the field around, change the dimensions, do something. That way the quality of life situation gets a little bit better, because you got your pickleball courts, you got all the great stuff around town. But you can hear the argument already. People in Santa Fe are like, "Oh, we got too many potholes. We're worried about closing traffic around the plaza. We're worried about obelisks getting destroyed. We're worried about the prairie dog population, or weeds in the embankment,
or the trees,
right?
Those invasive trees that they're trying to protect."
Yeah, there's so many things people in Santa Fe will fight against, other than putting money into Fort Marcy to keep a baseball team going. But that's part of the problem, is if you move the team to the MRC, no one's going to go, because the whole romanticized version of baseball is that you can go to this little quaint ballpark that's walkable from anywhere in downtown. If you put them in the MRC, it's just like what happened to the Albuquerque.
They're out in the middle of nowhere, and quite honestly, you just trade one set of problems for the others, because as anybody who's played in the county leagues there know that outfield is a death trap for knees.
Horrible.
So yeah, and you'd have to manicure it and maintain it, and and let's be honest, I don't think the city's shown any compunction to want to do that for most of its parks. What makes you think they're going to do it for a semi-professional baseball team?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is this. Look, Santa Fe's faced with a couple of options here. One, you just keep being the 16-34 team with a 10.9 ERA and just deal with it and go home every night after the sixth inning after the little kids' fun run. Or you can fix the field and maybe have a competitive team, and that'll keep people interested, and you can actually be excited about baseball and maybe the postseason. Or just maybe throw a little bit of money at the thing, maybe try to fix it, because the other teams in the league, like Alpine is independently owned. They have their own owner.
Yeah.
So people in that league want to play for Alpine. They want to play for Tucson because they play on a nice facility in Tucson, which is spring training ready. They want to go to Grand Junction because they're playing in one of the best ballparks in the Rocky Mountain region. That's not Coors Field. But they don't want to come to Santa Fe because even though it's centrally located, Santa Fe is the jumping off point for every place in the league. But they will not come here because, first of all, it's expensive. The field stinks. It's way too small. The dugouts were built in 19 whatever.
Oh, it's 1934, man. That's when this all happened. So and I think as great as it is, it's not a little money that you're going to have to throw, and I think you're going to have to throw tens of millions of dollars to fix it, because that's really what it's going to cost if you want even an adequate baseball field for the Fuego, and the city's just not going to do that. And for the main reason is this: it serves its purpose. It's there for Zozobra, and tens of thousands of people show up for it, and nobody's complained about it. But the moment people stop showing up and start complaining about it, then they'll start to do something. But it won't be about baseball; it'll be about Zozobra. And really, that's the problem with the Fuego, and the problem with Fort Marcy Ballpark is that, you know, it serves its purpose the way it is now, and until it doesn't, it's not going to change.
Yeah. It'd be a shame to see the Fuego dissolve. I don't think it will. I think the Pecos League enjoys having a team in Santa Fe. I think Andrew Dunn likes it. It used to be New Mexico had teams in Las Cruces, Carlsbad, Santa Fe, Roswell, Alamogordo, Raton, Las Vegas. Taos had a team.
For a minute,
the only teams left now. The only teams left are Roswell and Santa Fe.
Santa Fe, yeah.
And the funny thing is the Santa Fe manager this year, who, you know, Jake Young, who sounded like every other manager that came in here. It's like, oh, we're gonna have guys keep the ball down. We're gonna pitch to contact. We're gonna be this. We're gonna be that. Like, dude, we hear that every single year.
Yeah.
But Jake pitched for Roswell. He was an all-star, Pecos League all-star in Roswell. Comes here, and I think it's an eye-opener. You realize, like, Roswell and Santa Fe,
bad it really is.
Yeah, Roswell and Santa Fe are only about 220 miles apart, but it's a million light years apart when it comes to baseball infrastructure. And that's a sad thing.
It is, because I think the city of Santa Fe has shown that it's willing to support, you know, the Fuego, and they have. You know, even in its current iteration right now, they still come out there and they'll show up, at least for the first, you know, couple of hours of a game. You know, usually by about 7:30, 8 o'clock, people just start milling out and everything. But, you know, they show up. You know, they'll hang out. They'll order some food. They'll have a drink or two. They'll have their little Fuego chant. They'll pass the hat around. They'll do all that stuff. You know, but at a certain point, it's like, oh, it's 8 o'clock. I gotta go to work, or I've got stuff to do tomorrow. I'm not going to sit here and wait till 9:30, 10 o'clock for this game to end. So I'm just going to go home. And besides, it's 20-7.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is Santa Fe is, look, the parking situation at Fort Marcy is never great. And this year was especially bad just because they were working on the pickleball courts. They'll inject all that money into the pickleball stuff, which is fine. You gotta move some earth and do some things to build the pickleball courts. But I think at some point, maybe somebody over at the Fuego is probably like, well, would it kill you guys to buy us some lawn and garden stuff so we can work on the field ourselves? Like maybe a garden hose so we can hose down the infield before the game. But no, the thing about Santa Fe is it is so reluctant to change. And anytime you propose any kind of change, there's always going to be 10 people waiting in the wings to say, why spend our money there? Why spend our money, our resources because of this, because of that? You know, it's always the potholes. It's always the whatever. And there's always something standing in the way. And that's why as much as you sit back and root for Yvonne Encinius and her group to keep the Fuego going and be successful, and you know, credit to them for doing that. We've seen political figures come and go in the city where they all say, well, yeah, we'd love to help the Fuego out. We really enjoy it. But yeah, they don't, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter to them. So yeah,
unfortunately.
So I guess time to look in the mirror, Santa Fe, and we kind of do this every year. Do you jump in or jump out? What are you going to do? And the question is we're going to do neither. We're just going to stand here and watch.
we're going to watch it, and if they stay, they stay, and if they don't, well, there's always the isotopes about an hour down south.
That's right, and you know, and not to to crank out my tinfoil hat here, but I think one of the reasons why that team went straight south after the 2014 and 15 seasons is they switched from red jerseys to turquoise. They went to wearing turquoise jerseys. They went to wearing turquoise jerseys in 2016. They've had 2 winning seasons since. They've been under 500 every year since 2019. Go back to the red jerseys, the black hats. I'm telling you, you messed with the karma. Plus, everyone talks about how great that 2014. You and I were there for the 2014 team when they had Evan Coley won the league MVP, and they were amazing. But you remember there was only, I think, 6 teams in the league back then. So
there wasn't as much talent to go around.
Yeah, a lot more talent to go around. So the players were a lot better. And now it's just so watered down. Gosh, you got 16 teams spread across, I think, 8 or 9 different states.
Basically, the western half of the United States.
Yeah. There's just, and guys just don't want to play here. And it's too bad because I think we've seen the last of Connor Hickey for the rest of existence because I don't think Connor will ever come back to Santa Fe.
Would you blame him if he didn't?
Connor Hickey is the Mike Trout of the Pecos League. Had a great year, stuck in a horrible team. So yeah. Anyway, so that I'll jump off my soapbox, but I'm going to revisit this thing later in the week. I'm going to write a story about this. It's always fun to do those stories, but yeah,
that's right, Will, man. You tell them.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll do it for this week. Looking forward to our visit with Dr. Paul Weir. Hopefully he doesn't stand us up. James, I need you to get on that.
Well, you just want to jinx him, don't you?
Yeah, we gotta have him on here. Gotta remind him that I'm still waiting on that phone call from a few years ago when he was let go by UNM. Told me to call me back in a few minutes, never did. So I'm still waiting on that phone call. Anyway, Dr. Paul Weir, hopefully next week. And this is right before the anti-gravity movement, so make sure you're set for that.
This will be the last chance we get to talk to each other on Earth.
Yeah, just strap yourself down in a couple days. So there you go. Again, subscribe to our newsletter. Go to the newmexican.com website and scroll into our newsletter section and subscribe to us. We'll update that later today. We're recording this on a Tuesday, and of course, once football season starts, we'll get going a little bit busier on that thing too. But thanks for joining us, and we will see you in a week.